there, warm greetings and welcome to this week's episode of Women Speaking. My name is Anzoa Sarah, and today we are going to be delving into a very timely and inevitable topic, that is the state of human rights during elections. And I am joined by such an amazing panel that has a breed of people from civil society, from the legal arena, and from the media. And I would like to start by introducing, from right next to me, we had joined by Miss Gloria Kamayangi. She is the founder of Kamayangi Gloria Foundation. And then she is right next to her is she is an investigative journalist. She is Pimer Beatrice, and she's going to give us the insights from the media world. And we also have someone from the legal arena, and that is Alobo Salome Joyce. So she will be giving us those legal aspects of this conversation. And a very dear lady from the civil society and a young leader as well, who we have been joined by here, Apili Cynthia. And so we are looking forward to hear your insights from today's show, and I know we shall be learning a lot. Now, giving some background on our topic, human rights in the process of elections. Now, every time elections happen, various human rights are touched on, starting from access to information, freedom of association, freedom of movement, and maybe even the right to life, among other rights. And so we want to understand that in the current core, 2025 has been dubbed a political year in Uganda because this is a year that is leading to our general elections happening at the start of next year. So a lot of campaign activity has been happening, meaning there have been a lot of human rights that have been put on the spotlight, including those that are very pertinent to this show, that is affirmative action, the rights of women, and participation in political processes, and also conversations around how opposition is affected, how their human rights are affected every time elections happen. So, but before we even get into the nitty-gritty of this topic, I would like to start from the legal arena that presents human rights, that presents elections as a human right issue. Yes? So if you could deeply point to us how elections are a human right. Many people look at elections maybe just as a responsibility. They do not know it is their right. If you could just shed more light on that, but then also bringing in the aspect deeply on how various human rights are being handled in this electoral season. Yes, Joyce.
Thank you very much, Sarah. To start with, the general human rights, right to life, right to the other rights you mentioned, it's generally provided for under Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Article 59 specifically provides for the right to vote. Now, the right to vote does not only require a person to, go to a specific place and cast a vote. It entails a person having the right to choose who they want to represent them. It's like having a social contract with a person, with the other party that you want to represent you. And if you want a person to represent you, definitely you determine how you want to be represented by them. For you to choose someone to represent you, you need to make an informed decision. That's why we have the campaigns running in, and then the rallies. It's for the people to be able to choose their leaders on an informed point of view. I'm happy that so far we have not had a lot of, it has been quite peaceful so far. The campaigns, the rallies, so far it has, much as there might have been a few instances of violence here and there, but it's not as alarming as last year. And I'm hoping that we continue in the same spirit, so that we don't have other rights being violated. During campaigns, a lot of things can go on, most especially when violence comes in during the rallies. We usually involve the security personnel to calm down the situation, but sometimes excess force is used to calm down the situations. So you end up violating someone's probably right to life. You've denied them the right to information. In the Kawempe elections last year, we had a journalist who was brutalized. And if a journalist who is supposed to lay out the information to the general public is being treated like that, the rest of the people have the fear that if me as a normal citizen, should I go there, I'll probably be treated the same way. So it creates a lot of fear among the people if there is violence in trying to calm down the situation. So from the legal perspective of it, we have the EC, which is the Electoral Commission, which it is governed by the Electoral Commissions Act. I think, let me not misquote that, the cap, yeah, I might quote it wrongly. But it's provided for under Article 61 of the Constitution. And when you look at it's the act that governs it, it provides for its roles. It's to oversee the elections, ensure that it is peaceful. And then we have the police coming in to maintain the peace and order. The police coming in to maintain the peace and order, it's protecting both the citizens and those who are campaigning. So it's supposed to maintain a peaceful situation between the two people. We have instances where someone is peacefully organizing their rally, and then you have a mob from the society being the people to cause the violence. Or sometimes it's the people who are following the person campaigning.
And I love that you bring in that perspective. So as a lawyer, she gives us the perspective of firstly how the rights to vote, you know, these are rights, not only responsibilities, and she does quote for us the constitutional standings on that, yes. And it means really we have a right to self-determine, and so we do encourage people to use that. But you're also speaking to the standard of the status quo. Now, here, we do have an activist, Apili. I see you're very keen on your activism, meaning whereas many are not seeing the challenges the election season is having, many people are like, since people are not being tear-gassed, everything is okay. Yes, if you could take us deeper, have you noticed any challenges that this election period, right from the primaries, have you noticed any challenges or human rights violations in that process?
Okay, so thank you very much for that question. I think I want to begin by speaking to elections in themselves and voting being a human right. Because if we date back into the feminist history and look at individuals such as Eleanor Roosevelt, the very first lady of the US, and how she dived into fighting for women getting the opportunity to vote and how much of a right it is, I think these things become very fundamental to the craft of society, but also to the sustainability of society in itself. But secondly, I think just previously at the concluded CCG Hope Initiative debates, there was a conversation around violence in elections and how this election period has seemingly been peaceful, which I think is a sham, because we need to define what peace is in its essence. Because I was just passing via this Kalere route, and there is a rally happening for Honorable, I think it's called Chairman Sentamu or something like that. And the deployment of police down there is like as if they've said, no, we are having a bomb threat happening ongoing. And in as much as we need the security, it is true that we need the security, but how many people are going to show up to want to listen to your manifesto, for instance? How many people are going to show up to want to ask you questions that relate or pertain to the challenges that they are experiencing, to understand the nature of motions they're going to move in Parliament on their behalf? That in itself shows you that the increased voter apathy means that the situation is not as peaceful as it seems. Peace in itself must entail active participation of citizens in the electoral processes. But if we also want to date back to just the opening of the electoral process in itself, from when the Electoral Commission announced, for instance, that people can now pick nomination papers and the like, how much information was there for people to access to know that this is what is happening and these are the positions that exist? Also, understanding that the election is happening at a crucial time where there is a generational transition in terms of who participates in election. We are now getting to see faces like Julia Muhumu, that these are people that are recently graduated from university. That integration into the national political space and arena, there is limited civic education in terms of how these individuals can participate. You must be privileged enough to have a mentor within the political space, which makes the whole idea on transition in itself more nepotic in the sense, because you must know someone to get somewhere, which I don't think is a reflection of what democracy and electoral processes in themselves should be. So in terms of whether there has been peace, I don't think the measure of peace can can be on you're not seeing people caned, which we are still seeing people being beaten. I think just recently what happened in Barra. If you want to go as far as the violence in cities such as Lira, where they're determining and defining who should pick the nomination forms from the party primaries themselves and the amount of violence. I think there was a conversation around transition of government and how much violence that would leave us. The question on, are we really ready for that transition of power? Because if you look at NRM in itself and the number of like powerhouses that have been built within the political party, creating a loss of the ideology and a sense of unity that is necessary in order to create progress for not just a political party, but how it plays into the national scene of elections and how much people are willingly ready to listen to these manifestos and participate in the process in general. Thank you.
All right, now that was such an eye-opener. It's funny how many people have been praising this election season, saying that everything has been seamless and smooth. But I love that you bring the nitty-gritties of what has been happening undercover. But then also because when we are in a society where people are used to being oppressed, when they're given just a little, it does satisfy them a lot. Yeah, so thank you for giving that insight. So I'll just like to now come into Ms. Kamayangi. So you're doing civil society work, meaning you are in the grassroots and you're observing what is happening there. What is this election season looking like? But then also, you being a senior, fairly almost senior citizen, yes, you're seeing the younger people coming into the political arena, and what we have noticed is that they have overly been economically sidelined because of the nature of how expensive facilitating an election in Uganda is. What would be your recommendation and thoughts around that? How can young people, young women, better penetrate this electoral space now that they're being financially sidelined? If you don't have certain amounts of money, no room for you.
Thank you so much, viewers. I happen to have participated in the last NRM elections in Ntungamo, and I was the first runner in that election. And given that I didn't have that financial muscle, I could not match the speed at the finishing point, and I was defeated like that. I lost, when actually I was not supposed to have lost. It's quite challenging, especially to the young people, especially to the women, and to those who are not coming from privileged societies and homes. So I think maybe in future we shall see some amendments in the law to curtail the campaign financing such that we can have fairly an election which can bring credible leaders to the parliament so that they can start discussing issues as opposed to the whole barrows they are engaging in now. So that's how I lost. And this is Uganda, and it's our country, but we pray that at one time something will change. It's good that even the people who thought they were big, they are beginning to see that something has happened. I've seen, like these big people, the ministers who have been there, someone comes with a lot of money, more than what the minister has, and the minister is defeated. And we have seen ministers also crying. You see, I was cheated, I was rigged out, now I'm coming as an independent. More than 15 ministers lost an election, and some of them have come as independents against the will of their own party. So that teaches us that we are all victims of the circumstances of this election that we are managing. Now, concerning the participation of women, the youth in this election, as I have said, if you do not have a financial muscle to compete financially in this election, as a youth, as women, also men, you may not achieve so much. I've seen the human rights violations that have also occurred during primaries, and there are also some are following up to these general elections. I have also witnessed that Electoral Commission has so many petitions this time compared to what has been happening before. Now, it is an indictment to the Electoral Commission to start having civic education right away from the time they start thinking about elections. Because an election is not an event, it's a process. It starts from 5 years below and then it continues up to another cycle of an election. That's what it should be. I have seen petitions and petitions of academic papers, of signatures, of cases against some candidates. And if Electoral Commission had engaged itself in civic education and it educates the public of who is supposed to contest and who qualifies to be on this seat. If someone was implicated in a criminal case, you are given a certain period of time before you contest for a public office, but that has not happened. Now, if someone is challenged in the Electoral Commission and someone loses that offer, so let me say someone is a flag bearer or someone has already paid 3 million for nomination, and you know all that expenditure that you have incurred, and you are removed from the list of nominated candidates, where do you appeal? Because I'm told once the Electoral Commission has done its part, you can only appeal to the High Court, and the decision of the High Court is final. So you can't go above that. So where do you go? So do you see the challenge that we are creating? Do you see the anger that is going to be created among the public? My candidate has been removed. I've been having all the masses joining me. Do you think these people will like the government they are going to serve? Do you think these people will at one time shift immediately to another candidate who is someone next to government? Or they will say no, and what has happened for us, we are going to vote this side. This is something that we are grappling with as a country, and the Electoral Commission, I challenge them to come out and educate the public. In other countries, when you are going to have a public office, let's say, even if it's a presidential nomination, you are supposed to go to Parliament for a vetting, you are supposed to have a public scrutiny where your appointment is advertised in the main publications, newspapers, radios, and what, that when Parliament is going to vet, the public comes there. If there is someone that has a case against this nominee, that case is brought against this nominee, the nominee defends himself, so that when you are taking up a public office, you are taking it up as a person of high integrity, as a person of high moral character, such that you can be trusted in your office that you are going to take. Right now, there are very many cases against people challenging their academic documents. Some of them we know. They have never gone to school. Another one went to school, scored 999, which means you are not qualifying for any certificate, be it at O level, be it at A level. Some of them have equated their academic documents, academic papers, but they cannot measure up to senior 6 equivalent. So what do we do? So if someone had been told that for you to contest for this seat, you must have done A, B, C, D, maybe we would see limitations in the public. We would see these people who pretend to be having a lot of money failing to join the tables of those ones who have gone to school. Someone cannot wake up in the morning, go to school, spend sleepless nights. You sell your goats at home, your father sells land. Then you go to school and study, thinking that you are going to be someone in future. Another person comes there, he has never stepped in school, or you got this man and chewed it and wants to occupy the space. No, you cannot occupy the space which is meant to be for someone who has gone to school. This impunity must stop, and we must be a party that plays politics of everyone, not politics of sidelining. If it's NRM, if you know you have not gone to school, you have not gone to school. Don't join the space of someone who has gone to school. If you are in opposition, why do you come to contest when you don't have these qualifications? Someone has been given a lot of money. You go and contest. Go and do ABCD. Now there is this impunity which is also building up. That I come, you nominate me. They need 10 people. They nominate you, sign for you, you take them. After you have submitted and nominated and you have started the campaigns, now someone comes, me, I did not nominate you. It was against my will. So now we have seen people being removed and leaving others unopposed.
Or even denying their own signatures.
Yes, that's what they do. Now we want to see amendment in the law so that we curtail this nonsense in the future. If we have signed for someone, it becomes very hard for you to withdraw that signature. It used to happen in Parliament where a member would sign a report, and when it is against something, then you see people running around, hey, I did not sign, I want to write to the speaker, withdraw signatures, blah, blah, until Parliament blocked that loophole. And now once you sign, it means you have signed out of out of your will, and so that you don't come back to disturb people that you did not sign. So we want, whatever is happening now, it is informing us of the next step that we are going to amend the electoral laws. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And very interestingly, you speak of if you did not go to school, leave the positions of those who went to school, because really the position of a legislator is to make laws, and it requires a certain level of mental resilience, mental understanding, and that requires you should go to school.
Yeah, like for instance, if there is a call for bishops, a Catholic bishop, an Anglican bishop, and they advertise, can Kamayangi go there because I have a degree? I have a degree, but not in theology, and I don't have experience in church service.
Exactly. Unfortunately, our communities look at our legislators as those to attend burials, those to fund fees, among many other things, yes? Otherwise, thank you for giving that really deep insight. But then also we see that the politics within the money and, and then the qualifications. Now, recently we had a very touching scene on media where the CEOs of one of the biggest media stations in this country was called crying on camera because of what had been done to the media. Now, for any revolution to occur, the power of information is pertinent. And where there is no information, that means a revolution cannot occur. Yes, and an election is a season of revolution. Now, there has been a lot going on in the media. Some are not allowed to take some information to the people, yet we have a right to information. Yes. Now, help us understand, how is this affecting the human rights around elections, but also how does it affect the rights of those in the media world?
Thank you so much. One thing I normally tell people is that for every democracy, there is one pillar called the press. No country, no state, no president, no public can do without the press. And the other thing is that there's the Bible says everything else shall perish, but the word of God will never perish. For us in journalism, we say everything else in the world will perish, but journalism will never. there will come a point when it doesn't matter whether all of us are not there. Journalism, press, media, information will always be there. In fact, even if God wants to take everybody, we will be left. That is the confidence that we have in ourselves. That take the president, take the public, take everyone, but media will stay. That is the strength and the confidence that we have in ourselves. What happens is that it comes from a point of every country treasuring what they have, especially with media. I don't see why the blockage of media covering anything else should become a threat, especially to the government. Why would you block media that is trying to feed generation, that is trying to feed even you, because media does not work alone. Media needs legislation, media needs judiciary, media needs executive, media needs everyone. So in a span of time, you realize we need, as journalists, we need everybody. Everything else, everyone else is a source for us to get news from. So what happens when you put us at a gunpoint? What happens when you begin to threaten us simply because you feel either we are entering into your space? Yes, we are bound to, because either way, you're not going to do your things under the bed. Even if you go under the bed, if given chance, we will want to go there.
Transparency.
Yes, transparency is a key.
Leadership.
So we need to go there. It doesn't matter. There are people that normally say, why would you put a camera in a bedroom? Now, camera cannot put itself in a bedroom. When you have a camera in your bedroom, definitely you're trying to communicate something. There is some information you want to capture. We've seen men that put cameras for their women in cars. We've seen men that put cameras in their bedrooms and sitting rooms. Truth is, it is not there to occupy space.
Find us those men.
It's there to capture information, which information he that put it there is very interested in. Now, coming back to your question about the threat, yes, we've seen a number of scenarios where journalists are battling, either going for information or not going for, either running for this or not going for that. But for us in our space, we don't see why you need to put things hard for us to get. We don't work for ourselves. We don't work for our employers. We are working for the people. And again, we believe that we don't have anybody who does not support, who is not in support of what they are doing. So as long as one has decided to go to the field and say, I am going to vote, or one has made up their mind to say, this is my leader, or I need to participate in a particular rally, or maybe I need to go listen to Chagulani, listen to Museveni, or Mugisha Muntu. They have made up their mind, and so they have their right. In the same way that they have their right as a journalists, we have our right. One of my sisters here said, I think, there are spaces where you find, especially during election, you realize that during elections, we have different cadres that are protecting elections. We have those, what are they called? The people that are waiting, protecting the votes. What are they called? The constables that are all, yes, the police constables are always there. Now, question is, why do we have police constables? And on the other hand, we have serious policemen who are standing on the side. Question is, what are they doing? The election probably, let's say, is not chaotic. Nobody is fighting. There is no tear gas. We don't have anything. Like, there is nothing to bring police there. If already you have constables that you've trusted. So, these men standing, and there's a way they put on tough faces.
With red hats.
They don't joke, they don't smile. In fact, they're like this. Now, you who is coming to vote, like she said, you're already intimidated. They're looking into what I'm taking. And remember, for us, the way we vote is not like how the Americans do, where you enter into a room, do your things alone, then come out. For us, it's here. You come and speak, then you go. It is in a basin. Which basin? Another gentleman is standing looking at you, like they're telling you, tick so and so. Yet you cannot. Now, same thing applies to journalists. when we get to a space like that, where the surrounding doesn't seem to be friendly, we are intimidated. We feel like our rights are being tampered with. We cannot do things freely. We can't move freely. We can't take pictures freely because you're assuming the next thing they might fire me, bullet. The next thing may be, get away from there, go do this. So we find our rights are being tampered with in a way you may not directly tell us. You're doing this wrong or you're doing that, but the mere look, that look you're giving us is speaking 1,000 words from what you should have done. So I feel like when it comes to time for elections, let's try to normalize things. Unless you expect areas where there are chaos, that maybe in Kawempe there's going to be A, B, C, D. We anticipate in this area in Kamocha there's going to be this. Maybe in Ntinda we're going to have a lot of this. Now there you can deploy policemen. But in areas where it is peaceful, like you don't see any threat around, I feel like journalists should not be given hard time to access information. Because again, we are not going to come to you who is toughening your face for us, to us. We need these people, we need them, because we are not only protecting the votes, we are also protecting the rights of the voter. At the same time, we are trying to protect ourselves who are in the field. So it has to be a win-win kind of game. Much as the government is doing its work, let journalists do their work, let the voters come and do their work. Media, when you say, normally we've seen like in 2021 election, you realize a number of media was banned. You can't cover the state. Recently we have also one that was banned. You can't cover the state, you can't do this. Yes, it is okay, but I think there's a better way government can do that. There's a better way for government to say, in case media house B has done this, how best can we interrogate, how best can we amend things with them? By you banning a media house simply because of reasons, I don't want to say reasons best known to you.
Political reasons.
Yes, political reasons. For us, we feel it doesn't really carry sense, because at the end of the day, there is someone who is missing out on what we're supposed to be giving them. So if the news we cover, the information we are getting, we have to relay it out. So if we cannot relay it out, and we have big following already, we have people who authentically rely on our information than station A. We've already built an audience that is specifically waiting for us. Now for them, they wait for our timing. And here, we are nowhere in the system. We don't want us around the State House. You don't want us in the Parliament. You don't want us here. I feel the government, instead of...
not objective.
I feel like the government should find a better way. Let's say, if it means maybe dragging them to court, let that be solved amicably that way, than completely banning media from coverage. And yes, media from coverage, and yet public rely on that.
And I love she does say something. She says they're not objective. If you could throw more light on that, on the objectivity of the matter at
reporting.
What
biased reporting, that they have branded you as biased.
But no,
who determines what is biased?
I think it comes to this point. Media, like any other institute, has those that are not learned, those that are not trained, those that are doing their personal stuff.
But I think for a big media house, for one to get in there, they ought to be trained. I think the question here lies on bias. Apili, I see you're intrigued by the bias.
I want to interject a bit. And there is this, I genuinely think it is true that media houses face a lot of human rights violation in general. However, there is also a need for us to interrogate why. When it comes to the struggles of the media, it's only people that work within media spaces that care enough to advocate for it. I think that's important. And in as much as it is true that there's people that rely on the information that media houses present, there is also a predominant generation that relies on social media. People that are going to be on ground. For instance, instead of waiting for news at 9 p.m. to know what happened at a particular candidate's birth, I'm going to hop onto my social media and check, because most of them now have social media handles where they're able to televise these things. I think media in itself has also greatly lost relevance among people, which is a fact that they need to agree to. If you went down to Twitter and look at the nature of engagements that personalities that represent media houses have, for instance, it is questionable and it is very derogative. So people are less interested now in caring about the atrocities that the media face. The one time you're going to see people rile up is when someone has been violated in such a painful way. You've seen a female journalist, for instance, be undressed, be slapped or touched in like inappropriate parts. That's when people are going to care. And the reason they are caring is not because you are going there to report news, but it's because of how you were handled during that process. So media in itself also needs to gain relevance among people by representing what is right. I cannot castigate you if you report about NRM and report about NUP. However, how objective is the report you're going to make in itself? Does it allow people to be able to formulate opinions of their own? Because and let's not act like we don't understand why there is oppression of media. It's pretty simplistic. Media has the power to shape narratives in society. Media has the power to stimulate action in society. However, why is it that even with the existent minimal relevance, no one really cares to appeal to the media?
Just a minute, just give me a minute.
Okay.
There's something I want to put right, that you said media is kind of trying to lose its
losing relevance.
It is losing
Now
relevance.
that is a very, that's not something I wouldn't really go for, because now there is a difference between social media and media. Media, when we talk about television, we talk
media.
about press, print media. When we talk about radio, they will never lose relevance. But social media will, you know why? Because like she said, in most cases, people that are hired, people that are working in television stations, radio and print, these are hired professionals. When you get, listen first, when you get to social media, now we have everyone a journalist in social media. When you get on social media, the information you're getting there may not be exactly what you're going to get.
Or maybe if I could just bring us back to the heart of the matter right now. So now, just maybe to make it clear, we have a divide of 30-70 in Uganda, where 70% are younger people, 30% are older people, and the 30% deeply rely on the media that you present, whereas the 70% do rely on the one that you present. And in all angles, all these have to be protected. So whereas the 70% have access to the form of information they require, our hearts now beat for the 30% who have been blocked from accessing certain forms of information, because for them they will work the whole day and they'll come home and watch at 9. So if at 9 they do not have access to what was happening at State's house, then it then disturbs how they are able to analyze who to vote for as mayor in their area this time round. So I believe now we get the divide therein. But now we see how the conversation around information has gotten our bloods boiling, because just as you both mentioned, information is very pertinent in shaping narratives that push for a revolution, yes? And now from the legal perspective, Article 41 is it that provides to the right to information, yes? Of course, whereas currently we are seeing that many of the rights are certainly not being violated, the right to information has loudly been violated. Facebook still is not functioning as it should be. We have nation media that has been blocked from accessing pertinent areas where elections are happening. From your legal perspective, but also just as a citizen of Uganda, how do you think this is going to affect this incoming election, especially where we have many new faces?
Now, in the upcoming elections, let's first go back to the previous elections that have happened. We have seen that rights have been violated before, people have been denied information before. When I come to you and you keep denying me something, I will lose the trust that you can actually give it to me the next time I come to you. So generally, people are losing trust, because when you deny someone information, you're not being transparent with them. If you're not giving me the information that I need to make an informed decision, give me a proper explanation as to why you cannot give me that information. If you're going to deny certain media houses from maybe broadcasting something, give them proper explanations as to why they cannot do that. But you don't just need to wake up and you're like, no, you cannot cover this, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But when you're denying the public information, you are literally trying to control them.
Well, who should be giving that explanation? Is it the judiciary or the executive? It being a right.
Whoever comes up with that, whoever comes up with that narrative that so and so cannot cover this, should be the one to give that explanation as to why they are denying them the right to cover that.
Do they have the power to stop the right to information as the executive, if the public could get to know that? As the executive.
Depends on who brought it.
As per the book.
As per the book.
Yes.
That is
the spirit of the law.
The spirit of the law,
UCC.
which is mostly in the book only. It's not being practiced. Generally, politically speaking, what speaks now is more of the money and who has the power.
And who has the power.
Yes.
But then it's important for the general public to understand the standard to guide how they fight.
To guide how they fight.
So who should give an explanation on these issues?
We have the legislature making the laws. Then we have UCC governing the processes in the country. So if the legislative comes up with that, they let them give an explanation. UCC, if it comes up with that stopping a certain media house from covering something, let them give an explanation. But whoever is giving the explanation, let it be a valid explanation.
Are they accountable to anyone? Who can we report them to if their explanation doesn't make sense?
I think it still falls back on UCC.
It still falls. UCC can still hear it, but then we also have the judiciary to hear out the complaints.
And then I would wonder why the particular media has not reached out to the judiciary you mentioned.
They might have their reasons as well as to why they're not reaching out. But maybe sometimes they're also comfortable.
And I believe from this conversation we are having, now we are starting to see that indeed the freedom we thought we had is actually a sham. Because clearly if these bodies are accountable to the judiciary, who then enforces these laws, why aren't they then going there? It shows that the whole system is shredded. Yes?
You see, these bodies are entirely supposed to be separate from each other, but for some reason you will find that they are intertwined and they are matched together. So that confusion comes in where like these people are supposed to be separate, in that when this one is not doing their duty, they are held accountable and reported to a body. But then if they are somehow matched and working together, you're like, even if I go and report to so and so, I might not get the justice that I deserve.
Okay, all right.
So we should first get back into the books and start applying the law as it is. And then we need to be transparent in our actions. If during the elections you're like, we're having these nominees, okay, we have reviewed their let's have like a body reviewing this. If it's not okay, it's okay. You can also publish and let the public have a say. Such people have been nominated. If anyone has this, like they read the banns of marriage in church, you can do it like that. Announce it in church, the radio stations, TVs, go to Twitter. The following people have been nominated for this position. If anyone knows anything that would not allow them participate, kindly come out in the next probably 14 days, in the next 30 days.
What if 10 people come out?
No, before that, maybe the announcement can come immediately after expression of interest.
Yes.
Someone expresses interest, then the Electoral Commission calls upon the public that whoever have anything against these people should bring the petition within a stipulated time.
Yes.
Exactly.
Before one loses money in campaign.
Yes, in the nominations. And when we go to the electoral process itself, inform the people. The media houses, tell them, okay, maybe because if we just say let the media houses come, so we have so many are going to come, and probably there's going to be a crowd. So we're going to have, let's have like 10 probably based on first come, first serve, covering this, covering that.
But you think it limits what if I only listen to Baba TV? What do you think? But then do you think there would be a challenge if they allowed every media station have access?
Major media stations.
If they allowed
What do you mean major?
No, if they allowed each and every media station, I think there would be like an overcrowd. Everyone is trying to cover up something.
Okay.
So they would end up interrupting the process itself. Unless you're going to tell them, okay, let's have this. You're going to be probably stationed here and here. You're covering from here. You're covering from there.
So that means we then need better regulation on how the media does operate in these fields, and of which the UCC Act actually and the other the act that provides for the rights to information, they all
Yes.
provide for that. So that
They all provide for that
their
information.
in is a challenge. So, but also very particularly, we have now been talking about the accountability mechanisms, the reporting mechanisms, and from my observation as a lawyer as well, who has handled matters around election petitions and things like that. Having looked at the laws around elections, they are overly regulative yet underly protective. Yes. They regulate, you have to do like this, like this, like this. But when something bad happens to you, when you are unfairly treated, why are they overly silent? And I'm coming to you, Miss Gloria. When someone then needs protection, now they have to run to case law, and of which case law at the end of the day is on the discretion of the judge. How do you think, Ms. Kamayangi, having experienced this election process and seen maybe unfairness, forms of bribery, do you think our courts are able to protect people who have faced electoral injustices? And if not, what can we do going forward?
We have seen previously, as people who have cases, they take them to court, and the judge according to the evidence adduced.
Their discretion of feeling.
No.
Discretion based on the evidence presented.
So my fellow Ugandans, this is the time maybe, if there has been something wrong with the justice system, maybe we shall see this time if they are coming out to clean themselves, to clean up their name, so that the name of the judiciary is not tainted like it has been before. Of course, we have seen, like I've told you before, we have seen people present their cases before the judges, the magistrates, the courts of law, while others, they are given time to present evidence and to be heard, because it is a human rights standard that when I present the case, I must be invited to present evidence, and then the respondent must be also invited to present and defend himself on that case. But as we have seen, sometimes we all know who appoints these judges. So who appoints these judges?
Who appoints these judges?
Which government are they serving?
If maybe you could
And
inform the
which
general
cases,
public.
and which cases they are adjudicating.
So who appoints these judges?
So if a president appoints these judges, Parliament vets them, then you know what will happen.
Conflict of interest.
Exactly. Someone will fear, like if I say there is a case which has been put at IGG against a certain member of Parliament. President appoints the IGG, and the IGG comes to Parliament for vetting. So do you think this IGG will give an objective judgment according to what he or she is going to go through? Because once she's appointed, she will again go back to Parliament for again vetting. So these are the things that really matter in these cases that we are seeing. But all said and done, the judges have tried as much as possible to do their best. It may not be to to the interest of every party, but at least they have tried to do a balanced thing altogether.
Okay. All right.
Sarah, can I add something there?
Just in a minute.
So, as she was saying that, in as much as the judges are, they're still appointed by the government, by the president, then vetted by parliament, these bodies have to be independent. We have to try as much as possible to make sure they are independent. And people have generally lost trust in the judiciary, in the electoral commission. So even if the results they are giving is the truth, because of the previous actions, people have lost trust. They doubt it.
Yes, and thank you for that. And our system is cooked, meaning at the end of the day, even if we say that the president is not going to be appointing these people, then who will? At some point, I'm thinking we just give them aptitude tests and we throw it in an AI system to cook and see who is worthy of this position.
What
and then we push them
Kenya
in.
does, and Ghana, these are the countries that I have interacted with. When there is a presidential nominee and it's going to parliament, there is this public vetting. In Kenya, they put the advert in the newspapers. If, say, they are calling upon a position of the IGG. The IGG is not a presidential appointment. You apply, you sit interviews, and you take over that office as an IGG.
You earn it.
You earn it by credentials and not by attending a national prayer meeting.
It's not automatic that when the president appoints you, it's automatic that you have to go through. No. There are these other nitty-gritties that can be done. If they appoint me and you have a case against me, by all standards, I don't qualify. You bring evidence that I was once indicted, I had a criminal case, and I have not served these many years as stipulated in the law, both in the, I think, the Parliamentary Elections Act, and then the Code of Conduct Tribunal Act. Those two clearly stipulate how the person takes over office once this person has previously been convicted. So it's not automatic. It's actually because for us, we have taken it for granted that once the president appoints, you assume that he has done background check on this person. The person has a very nice track of record that this person should take over this office. We have seen previously, during the previous speaker, petitions would come in parliament. They would sit and review these petitions. They write to the nominee. The nominee comes and defends himself. And previously we saw some nominees had been bounced, so they couldn't go through. So you wonder what is happening now.
Right, that is a great one. So it is then also an eye-opener that perhaps these nominations may carry a lot of conflict of interest, meaning they can't deliver at the end of the day, but it gives the public hope that these things can be challenged as well.
Exactly.
Yes, they can be challenged. So it's time to
stand up. You saw the ministers previously.
Oh, yes.
They were denied.
Meaning better can be done now.
I know of 3-4 ministers whose appointments were denied at the vetting process of parliament.
And which should be the standard. Yes, so now, right now, as we come to the end of this rich discussion, we have overly talked and uncovered around, whereas we believe that the electoral process is being very protective of human rights in this particular season, we have also greatly uncovered what we think could be a challenge, but then also going forward from your observations, if you could all just take a minute and see, apart from the right to information, what other rights do you foresee being violated as the elections come, and how better should Ugandans prepare themselves and also protect themselves in that regard? Just in 1 minute as you give your final shots. I'll start right from there.
Okay, so before I even go to the recommendations or the possibility of other rights being violated, one thing is all the problems we have in our electoral process underline from one, individuals not understanding the essence of politics, but secondly, politics becoming a career. The third thing, as Ugandans, I think we need to approach reality and be able to stand our ground when we are speaking about certain things. For instance, to understand that we don't really operate a democracy, it's a sham of itself meant to give legitimacy. Because the examples, for instance, she's giving of Ghana, Kenya, these are countries that have functional constitutions, but also run civilian governments. And that is why it becomes easier for citizens within these countries to check and hold people accountable. But you also realize that the amount of civic education that exists within these countries is so immense, to the extent that even children understand the basic constitutional rights that they have. If you asked me, for instance, what the process of an electoral petition looks like, I would not be able to explain, because these echo chambers also created. And as much as it's true that things of the educated should be to the educated, but how about the people you're serving? Do they have the capacity? Ask yourself why it is that a person that is not educated is willing to take the risk and enter a process they know they don't qualify for. People are poor. Democracies do not function with poverty. Let's look at the countries that have a seemingly working democracy. These are countries that are economically stable. They fund us, they colonize us. A lot of the things that are functional and operational require funding, financing, and money. If people are poor, we are going to complain that the nomination fees are too high. When they lower those nomination fees, I don't want to use the word Tom, Dick, and but everyone is going to feel like I can now go in and apply for it. You have people that are openly and confidently standing to say, nawe walia katinange mumpe ponje. And that's the functionality of your democracy. It doesn't really make sense. But also, these are educated people. Because it's not that they are not educated. Some of these people are educated. And they are running around making such statements. That in itself shows you that we do not have a functional democracy. People are taking politics as a career, a money-making venture. Why are you losing a primary and coming to stand as an independent? You think people didn't see you in the primary when you were going to contest? No, they saw you. They did like you. They did appreciate your ideology. So why are you forcing your will on the people? That is a representation in itself that you're not there for service. Politics should not be about a profession, a career. It's about service. It's about leadership. You have knowledge about something, you can't transition for people in society. When people wake up to follow people, it's not about the superiority in your political ideology. It's about the service that they see you can offer to them. I think we need to sit down and re-evaluate ourselves and the political decisions that we make. But also, we as citizens have what I want to call the blame game. Because we can comfortably point fingers to politicians. We can comfortably point fingers to individuals. But there is a structure that has put us to certain situations that we are in that we also need to acknowledge. If a political person is coming to run their campaign, for instance, someone down in the village is not interested in listening to your manifesto. And I don't blame certain people when they say, for instance, political parties like NUP are not talking about what they intend to do. They are, entertaining people and the like. There are some that are offering you money, for instance, from NRM. But that is what you demand as a voter. People conform to what you need and what you want in order to get where they are. If you're going to a Choli sub-region, for instance, to campaign and people are saying, Amita Tenduda, you're going to give them money because you want to appeal to them to vote for you. So we also push the existence of structures that oppress us. We need to be able to move out of those very systems. I think just recently someone was talking about how we create African dictators. Some of these people are not born dictators, they don't enter the system as dictators. But because we are comfortable benefiting from that rotten system, we enable it to exist. We sustain it.
So as the electorate, we have to raise our standard of expectation and dealing with these people.
Which is also impossible to do if people are poor.
If people are poor,
Exactly.
but also knowledgely poor. So I think it's
in both instances, financial, information, knowledge,
and
in all three instances. If you do not have that much amount of wealth, knowledge-wise and financial-wise, it becomes a bit difficult to operate within a democratic system. So I think now just back to the idea on human rights being violated, it's going to go beyond just media suffering. It's people being caned on the streets. It's us as voters inciting violence among each other because they support NUP, I support NRM. All that is going to happen. I think we just remember that from the previous election, the primaries themselves. All that is still going to be instigated. And most importantly and most painfully is the right to life. And that is the biggest contingent people have for not participating in electoral processes. I have a lot to lose. But my life is at stake.
Yes, and we pray that it doesn't get to that. And maybe if Cynthia, thank you very much, Apili. If Cynthia could just continue from that as we just wind up in a minute.
Okay, thank you very much. Like she said, right to life is going to be violated. But then when we look at unlawful arrest and detention, it's going to reoccur, but it is going to rain this time. If it has been drizzling, it might rain. Unlawful arrest and detention.
And we would wonder what are the indicators to that from the status quo right now. What would make us indicate that these things would happen?
Previously, we have had opposition claiming some of their supporters have been abducted, there have been this, there have been that. But then now we are looking at there's an upcoming generation, our generation, that is very aggressive. And when they want it, they want it. Whether they will take it by violence, they will take it the lawful way. But I still see that unlawful arrest and detention reoccurring.
From the desire to demand.
Yes, from the desire to demand
right.
for what they want. But then also to add on, we are in a society where people are poor and desperate for money. So anything that is going to earn them money, they will go. They will go for it. This support has, this nominee has said, oh, when you vote for me, I'll do this. I'll come and follow me in rallies. You will all go back with as low as 5,000 Uganda shillings. You will see a crowd.
So we see crime and bribery coming in there.
Crime and bribery will come in, but because people are so desperate.
Yeah, so if Beatrice could also now pick on from there as she concludes.
Yes, I want to pick up from there. Like my colleagues have said, the issue comes back to us, the citizens of Uganda. Sometimes we blame our leaders and all that, but it also comes back to us. When we say Uganda is not democratic, which fairly all of us will want to say, we are not a democratic country. But truth is, every leader is supposed to serve. A leader is a servant. So if your top leader is not serving you, then they're not leading. Now, if we say where we are supposed to be as a democratic country, we are not, something went wrong. It is either the leadership or us down, but who did what? So how did we end up where we are here?
Blame game.
Yes, we are blaming the government. The government says, but you have the right. But you guys, you go and vote. But we vote. I think when I vote for her, you give me her. When I vote for him, I tell you, like, it is all back and forth. Currently, we've moved away from sugar, soap, bulbs. Or it wasn't even a bulb, soap.
Like a piece of soap.
Like a piece of soap. We've moved away. Now it is done in a broad daylight. Like, then we used to say, they come later in the evening, a day to election, give you some tip, tomorrow you're going to vote for so and so. Now it is done in a broad daylight. I think now it is a band of money. They don't bring you piece of soap. They come straight with a band of money. What will
1,000.
I think it's crazy.
Uganda, are we the problem?
Yes, we just accepted ourselves to be in that situation where now, like my colleagues have said,
comfortable.
yes, we can't get out of it. I think the next time we will want to come out, we need to have a female president, probably.
Okay, and maybe finally, Ms. Kamayangi, just in case you are the female president, if you could sum it up for us.
Right now, we are in the campaign season, and this time not by NRM but by Electoral Commission, which we all trust. Whether you lost genuinely or
seemingly trust,
or you were cheated, this is the period now people are going to appeal to the public. People call it the court of the public. When you were defeated the other time during NRM elections, this is the time now you appeal to the court of the public, because there is a credible organization, Electoral Commission, that is managing these elections. But what I want to call upon Electoral Commission to do is maybe they should put surveillance to where these people are campaigning from. Because right now, people are adamant. Even when EC has issued guidelines for these candidates to follow, and there are some things that they have banned from happening. But you see, candidates are still giving money on the rallies. Is there a way Electoral Commission can follow up these candidates and penalize them other than still waiting for someone to come and petition? If at least they can do that well, that one will sort things very, very easily. Now, the other thing is the elites. We still have a challenge of the elites. These people sleep in Kololo, they sleep in Naguru, they sleep in those high-end areas. You will not see them on the lines to vote.
Where do they vote from?
Now, maybe if these guys were in their suits, these giants were also lining up together with the Wananchis. Now, the intimidation of police and the army, which my friend here was talking about, would not happen. If a Wananchi is standing in the same line with the big person, he will get that confidence and trust that I'm going to vote on the same table. I'm standing in the same line with this guy, the billionaire. I think my vote also matters. But short of that, where our elites, they don't participate in the voting process. Then they are as useless like
Could it be that
Dr. Elizabeth they called
Okay.
them. They have not lost trust. But there are these people, I don't care, I have everything, I don't need these leaders. Even this parliament is not there, we can still
exist.
This country can still run. But I want to tell you, the parliament, as long as we still have laws, it is going to exist. And don't complain when we bring you the people that we have as our leaders.
All right, thank you very much for that sound warning. It was lovely having you on the Women's Show this week. So many questions coming up. Is the problem the government? Is it the electorate? Or is it the bodies that control these particular elections? But also a lot of intricacies into our elections as peaceful as they seem to be, or there is more to uncover. But also from the prophetic angle, could anything else go wrong? Looking at the status quo of what we have now. Now all this has been discussed on this show, and we look forward to a great election season coming up. But this is also your reminder to vote, because at the end of the day, Chiamba Gwe. Thank you. I'm Anzoa Sarah.